Alright, buckle up. The court is officially in session. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill drug case. We've got cartel whispers, multiple charges, and a defendant who thinks she can talk her way out of anything. Let's see how that plays out.
We will go on the record in the matters 24 CF 55, 24 CF 167, State of Wisconsin versus Vanessa Decora. The state appears through Assistant District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. Ms. Decora appears in person with counsel Gabriel Pollack. We're set here today in these cases for two things. One is a sentencing hearing in 24 CF 55. We had a jury trial, a speedy jury trial on July 23rd, 2024.
7 guilty counts. That's not a slap on the wrist, that's a legal landslide. Ever wonder what it feels like to stand there as a judge rattles off your convictions like a grocery list? Yeah, it's not great.
In which Ms. Decora was found guilty on all counts 1 through 7, possession with intent, amphetamine, methamphetamine greater than 10 but less than 50 grams, 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs, 1 count of possession of THC, 1 count of operating while revoked, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, and 2 counts of felony bail jumping. We are also here for an initial appearance in 24 CF 167. Mr. Schmidt, what is happening in that case? Is that proceeding?
Oh, the bail jump, we had an agreement to read that into today.
All right, so you're asking that the court dismiss and read in 24 CF 167 as part of a global resolution. Is that correct, Mr. Pollack?
Yes, Your Honor.
Quick legal breakdown. A read-in means the charge gets dismissed but still factors into sentencing. Basically, it doesn't disappear. It's like a ghost hovering over you in court. Creepy, right?
All right, the court will dismiss and read in 24 CF 167. As to the sentencing in 24 CF 55, the court did not order a pre-sentence investigation report because Ms. Decora had a very slim criminal history. Mr. Schmidt, argument and sentencing recommendation, please.
Sure, Judge. I'm going to start out by briefly going over the criminal history and the adjustment and supervision. As the court indicated, Ms. Decora has 9 prior criminal convictions, all of which were in Sawyer County. None of the convictions were drug-related. It breaks down to 2 disorderly conducts, a felony criminal damage to property, an OWI 2, a misdemeanor bail jump, and 4 convictions for obstruction. The history goes back to 2004, so it goes back quite a few years, and the last conviction was...
Notice the pattern. This isn't some one-time mistake. It's like a playlist of bad choices spanning nearly 2 decades. Question for you guys, do you think people can really break a cycle like this, or does history always repeat itself?
2019, when that year she was convicted of obstruction and bail jumping, misdemeanor bail jumping. She has been to prison before on that criminal history, though. The felony crim damage to property was a probation case with a state-imposed prison sentence of 1.5 in, 2 out. She did get revoked on that and went to prison in 2013. So she was on supervision for about 3 years during that period prior to getting revoked. So she has had 1 period of time in which she's been on probation. The outcomes of every other case has been either a fine or time served jail sentence from credit built up over the course of the case. When this offense occurred, Ms. Decora was on bond for possession of narcotic drugs out of Sawyer County. She was placed on bond there on January 17th of this year. This offense happened on March 1st, so about a month and a half later. Sawyer has this Justice Point pretrial supervision program that she was supposed to be supervised on. I don't know the current specifics of it, but I do know from reading about it on CCAP notes, it has some sort of like drug testing monitoring component to it. I'm sure Attorney Pollack knows way more about it, and he'll give the court information if it needs it. This supervision, this bond did not control.
So, let's get this straight. She was already out on bond, and instead of laying low, she doubled down with another violation. That's like setting your kitchen on fire while firefighters are still inside putting it out.
Her behavior, because while out on bond, she had this violation that amounted to this case. Basically, she was found in our county with Roland Peterson in a van coming through our county from the cities to here. The read-in bail jump is almost exactly the same thing. The bail jump is a violation of the no contact provision. Once again, in our county, just passing through Roland Peterson, the same van. This time there was no drugs on Mr. Peterson or on Miss Dora. However, they did have her daughter with them, Tiana Wade, who had drug paraphernalia on her. She has an ongoing case now in our county now for drug paraphernalia, and she was having a medical emergency at the time. So the defendant was in our jail. She tried to help herself to get out on her own, our jail for this case. She called up an officer and tried to convince him that she's innocent, that generally she complained about her bond being too high. She tried to convince the officer to help her to get out or get consideration. A big part of the state's argument to the jury was about how calculating and self-interested Vanessa Dora was in those interactions. That's why we played the whole video of the interview, to show the self-interest. She ratcheted up her efforts each time she was rebuffed by Deputy Mogen. Officer, I'm innocent, but I'm cooperating, so maybe that'll help.
This is classic bargaining mode, flipping from I'm innocent to okay, fine. But I can snitch on someone bigger. It's like watching someone speedrun every excuse in the book. Spoiler, the jury wasn't buying it.
Officer, my bond is unfair. It's disproportionate what I get in Sawyer County. Can you help? Officer, I can get you a bigger fish in the cities. Can you help? Or Sawyer County. That was the broad strokes of the interview. The court saw it at trial. I'm going to break apart the pertinent facts of this case and what was shown to the jury as it relates specifically to the sentencing today. So Vanessa Dora is from Sawyer County. All of her convictions going back 20 years are Sawyer County. She really has no connection here. The explanation she gave to the police is that she was going to the cities to visit her daughter and then come back. Burnett's just the place in between the places she actually wants to go. Roland Peterson said something corroborating that. I think that was heard on the body cam video, though he implied that Vanessa's daughter was somehow related to the drugs in some manner that was never explained. In her interview with Bailey, Vanessa indicated she had grown up at some point in the cities or lived there for some time, as she talked about knowing locations there from when she was younger or familiarity with it. Anyways, the vehicle was stopped with Vanessa driving. It's Roland's vehicle. Roland is there. He's higher than a kite.
You heard that right. Sitting on drugs. Forget hiding them in the trunk or glove box. This was basically the world's worst car seat cushion. How do you even argue you didn't know they were there?
Vanessa is stone cold, rock solid. She's literally sitting on drugs and paraphernalia in the vehicle. There's tinfoil all over the vehicle. In the back of the vehicle, there's that hatch compartment container containing a roll of tinfoil that all the small bits obviously came from with the way it was cut, as well as the large quantity of drugs. In her interview with Bailey Mogen, she acted entirely out of self-preservation. She said, I'm totally innocent of the drugs in the vehicle. She overvouched to the point of incredulity when she said, I would have never gotten in the car if I knew there were drugs. Well, in the same interview saying, I'm actively using drugs, I'm addicted to drugs. She was just saying whatever she thought in that moment in her time with Bailey, from moment to moment during the course of the interview that would benefit her. She then told a story that deeply concerns me. She talked about her connections in the cities. The gist of her story is that she has this drug dealer in Sawyer County named Jay Potak. At some point or multiple points, she's gone with Jay to the cities. He has cartel connections. He helped her get those connections, and he sells in Sawyer County. At some point, she got close enough to the cartel by sitting with those guys, as she phrased it in the interview, that she can go there on her own. She talked about how she could get large quantities of drugs. She told Bailey she's done so in the past. She said she independently made her own connection with an Asian cartel, though they didn't probe that too much. She denied selling drugs, but said she would trade drugs for items, which is concerning because one, that's still delivery of controlled substances, and two, I think it stretches credibility a bit when she's talking about what she's doing.
Cartel connections. He helped her get those connections, and he sells in Sawyer County. At some point, she got close enough to the cartel, by sitting with those guys, as she phrased it in the interview, that she could go there on her own. She talked about how she could get large quantities of drugs. She told Bailey she's done so in the past. She said she independently made her own connection with an Asian cartel, though they didn't probe that too much. She denied selling drugs but said she would trade drugs for items. Which is concerning because that's still delivery of controlled substances. It stretches credibility when she's talking about what she's doing, cartel connections. That's the kind of phrase that instantly cranks the stakes to Netflix documentary level. Most local drug cases don't have an international crime syndicate cameo.
I have cartel connections and I can get up to, $1,000 worth of drugs and come back to Sawyer, but I never sell it. It stretches credibility. After doing this interview with Deputy Mogen, she sought consideration from the state. State made an offer, didn't give enough consideration, so it went to trial. The jury verdict was the determination of fact. The jury found that the claim of total innocence of the car, I would never get in a car that had drugs in it, despite being a drug user, they found that unpersuasive. They found I didn't know about the drugs and pipe I was sitting on to be unpersuasive. They found the detailed explanation and the cartel connections and giving specific names and locations to be persuasive. They looked at what she lied about and what she didn't and saw a person acting in a manner consistent with the allegations against her and found her guilty. A person acting with cold, deliberate self-preservation. So here's where I am now. Gravity of the offense. One of the first of the three of the McCleary factors. This is a person with cartel connections. That was the evidence at trial. That's what she said to the officer. She made those through her dealer with the Mexican cartel, according to the interview. And then she made her own independent connections with an Asian cartel sitting with those guys. She lives in Sawyer County, and her only reason being here was travel. Presumably, she also traveled through Washburn County because I don't know how else you get that trajectory there in between here and Sawyer County to go buy drugs and then drive them back to Sawyer County, passing through these two counties. She is the link in the chain, or one of them, between.
I love how the prosecutor put it, not the pipeline, just a spigot. Translation, she's not Pablo Escobar, but she's still pouring poison into the community one drip at a time.
The cartel in Mexico, the Twin Cities, and Sawyer County. She's not the pipeline, she's not the fire hose, but she is a spigot. That's high gravity. It's rare among our drug dealing crimes we see in Burnett County. We find somebody with this close a connection to the cartel. We're aware that's where a lot of the drugs come from because they have the labs in Mexico. They can make the meth. It's easy to get it over the border. It comes through the pipeline in the cities. Police frequently track the trend back to the cities vaguely, but this close is rare. Usually we're several more links in the chain away. In the federal sentencing guidelines, having any connection of the offense to an organization or gang that is known to use violence is an aggravating factor. By helping that organization at all, even if you didn't do violence, enables their style and methods. There are so many people in the United States and Mexico murdered every year by the cartels. The Council for Foreign Relations estimates about 30,000 people get killed in Mexico each year since 2018. 9 of the 10 highest per capita murder rates among cities are in Mexico. Vanessa knows how dangerous these people are that she's dealing with, that she's buying from, that benefit from her as much as she benefits from them. She warned Deputy Mogen in that footage of how dangerous they were. Don't go there on your own. They're heavily armed. I can get in. They trust me. Her source of her contraband is highly aggravating, is what I'm getting at. The driving while revoked, the possession of THC, the possession of fentanyl, in the larger scheme of things, are of such less gravity compared to the possession with intent. If those were all she was convicted of, those offenses, we'd probably be talking conditional jail and probation. The 2 felony bail jumpings are more concerning. With the volume of offenses, there could have been more bail jumps stacked. There could have been, 1 new crime for each count if we really wanted to, and it could have been a flooded complaint with bail jumps. We didn't do that. We did 2 bail jumps. I think these bail jumps are more aggravated than other bail jumps we see because of, one, the gravity of the offense, and two, the connection between the offense and what she was on bond for. She was on bond in Sawyer County with the possession of narcotic drugs, drug related, and then the violation is a possession with intent to deliver of drugs. So in the same category as drugs, what you're on bond for, about a month and a half after you're placed on that bond, and it's an higher violation than what you're on bond for. I think those things make the felony bail jumps aggravating. Here's the part where I want to transition to talking about protection of the public, which is obviously related to gravity of the offense. My biggest concern with this whole case isn't even Vanessa Decora dealing drugs. That's number two for me. Don't get me wrong, that's an extremely big problem. My number one concern here is all the people that she is and could be roping into this, expanding the conspiracy, because she wasn't just alone. Let's go back to how Vanessa described getting her connections. She has a drug dealer in Sawyer County. This drug dealer has cartel connections. She somehow builds her relationship with him strong enough that he's taking her to the cities. He's introducing her to people. She's building those connections on her own. She's built up and trusted enough. She's telling police she can go there on her own now. She can do those things on her own. In fact, she says she has. What that means is she could take somebody like Roland Peterson or a relative like her daughter, Tiana Wade, to the cities and expand those relationships to build those connections. My concern with her is she obviously has no interest in Burnett County. She's from Sawyer County. She's just passing through. But what about the next person she brings in? That person she takes to the Twin Cities and this connection, the same as Jay Potak took her. That sort of knowledge and connections to this source of drugs is extremely dangerous to the public.
This is where the danger really lies. It's not just what she did, it's who she could bring in next. Cartel connections spread like a network, and one bad link can corrupt an entire chain.